This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Introduction. Modernization theory is one of the theories of development that seeks to justify why developing countries are not developed. This theory considers the emulation of developed countries as the best way for third world countries to achieve development. Definition. Alexander Dolgin, in an article titled Manifesto of the New Economy, defines modernization theory as a version of market-oriented development theory that argues that low-income societies develop economically only if they give up their traditional ways and adopt modern economic institutions, technologies, and cultural values that emphasize savings and productive investment. Modernization theory and developing countries. Modernization theory postulates that development can only be realized by adopting the policies that were used by the developed countries. This theory seeks to use the developed countries as role models and that the path to development they followed is the best. It states that developing or third world countries, particularly in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean, will only be developed if they follow the route of development used by the Western countries. The proponents of modernization theory include William Arthur Lewis, Walter Rostow, and Talcott Parsons. These scholars sought to explain why poorer countries were not developing. These features of modern societies, according to Talcott Parsons, relate to basic institutions, which may include competitive democracy, a liberalized market economy, mass consumption, and a welfare state. Proponents of modernization theory believe that introducing modern technology in manufacturing, technology, and agriculture will lead to industrialization and development of developing countries. This is because internal factors in developing countries like illiteracy, lack of division of labor, and rooted agrarian system are associated with their underdevelopment, and only a change away from these factors is a tactic for development. It is true that these factors are essentially impediments to development. Issues like overpopulation, political instability, massive corruption, and poor governance have prevented developing nations from making steps towards economic prosperity. Since modernization theory involves moving away from ancient ways to modern ways of social, economic, and political systems, this means that development in the third world cannot be achieved without adopting the policies that the already developed used. Scholars of modernization theory argue that underdevelopment in third world countries is a result of internal factors like poverty and indigenous culture. The recent revolutions in the Middle East and the Maghreb and the political conflicts witnessed in Kenya and Ivory Coast have supported the arguments of contemporary modernization scholars. This is because developing countries have to adopt a liberal democracy, which is associated with the political stability and prosperous economies of the developed world. This theory has been criticized because of its ethnocentrism, which seems to ignore the importance of social institutions and only seeks to westernize the world. Modernization theory has also widened the inequality between developing and developed worlds. Conclusion. Modernization theory has contributed significantly to the development of third world countries. This has been achieved through the elimination of factors that hinder development. An example is the adoption of family planning. This has led to population control in third world countries. High population growth was largely associated with the chronic poverty of the developing countries. Mechanization of agriculture, which replaced traditional ways of agriculture, is credited with enhancing food security. This essay on modernization theory and developing countries was written and submitted by a student just like you. The Ivy Panda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one, on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for, free of charge.